Live and local with coverage you can count on. This is WNEM-TV5 News at 6.
Taking a live look outside now, it's been a sunshine-filled day throughout the area, and evening commutes are smooth at this hour.
But that could all change over the next 12 hours as snow. Yes, snow will be causing problems for drivers. Chief Meteorologist Brian Bachman joins us now with a look ahead to that. Brian.
Just seems so wrong to say, doesn't it, Carrie? On a beautiful day like today, plenty of sun, just a couple of passing clouds, temps near or even above 50 in most locations. Enjoy the evening while it still looks like this. Here's a beautiful view from Mount Pleasant tonight over the CMU campus. Still plenty of bright sunshine there, bright blue skies, temp at 49 degrees in that particular area, and actually still a good window, I would say about another hour to hour and a half where we'll still have the clear skies, but we're starting to see some of the higher thin clouds in advance of a clipper system beginning to spill their way into western parts of lower Michigan tonight. And of course, hot on their heels is going to be the wet weather itself, primarily falling in the form of rain from central Wisconsin up into eastern and northern Minnesota this evening. By the time it rolls into our neck of the woods, however, overnight tonight, there will be enough of a spill down of some chillier air that it'll at least start to mix with some wintry precipitation, if not completely change to a brief period of some lighter snow showers in some parts of the area. And as much as I don't want to say it, there is the chance of at least a light accumulation in some parts of the area. Enjoy it, though, while we still have it. 52 and sunny in Bay City, 50 and sunny in Saginaw right now, 52 in Midland with bright sunshine, and still hanging on to 56 degrees with a couple of passing clouds in Flint. So still beautiful for the time being. It's going to be one wintry hurdle in the overnight hours tonight, but now we're going to take it back to the 60s, and I'm not talking about time traveling. I'll give you the details on that coming up in your full First 1-5 7-day forecast.
Breaking news tonight, we are still working to get more information about the death of a 1-year-old in Flint today. Very few details are available at this hour. All we know is that the child died at a home on Alfred Street in Flint. Police have not said how the child died or even if a crime was committed. Stay with TV5 for continuing coverage.
The Indiana law is in particular very troubling.
A new law causing protests and anger just south of Michigan could be a preview of what's to come right here at home. That's because a bill very similar is making its way through the state legislature. The bill allows for businesses to deny service to anyone based on religious beliefs. But opponents say that allows people to use religion as a shield to discriminate. TV5's Kristen Moore reports on how the two bills stack up against each other.
Protesters filled the streets across Indiana over the weekend, showing their disapproval after the state's governor signed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act into law.
It does not apply to disputes between individuals unless government action is involved.
Here in mid-Michigan, most people we talked to today oppose the measure as well. It will allow Indiana business owners to cite their religious freedom as a legal defense if they choose not to do business with a person or group because they feel it would violate their religious beliefs.
There's some stupid laws being made lately.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's ridiculous.
Would you support that here in Michigan?
No.
A bill known as the Michigan Religious Freedom Restoration Act is being considered in the state Senate right now. The language is very similar to the act passed in Indiana. Neither mentions sexual orientation specifically, but some are concerned it could provide a legal basis for discrimination against members of the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community.
That's just wrong. And that's not only wrong, it's just evil. It is the worst kind of legislation possible.
Supporters argue the goal of the measure is to protect people like bakery owners, for example, who are Christian and choose not to provide their services for a same-sex wedding. But Jeff Liebman, pastor of Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Midland, says that's not what true Christians do. So there's no need for a law to allow those kinds of actions.
It is certainly not how Jesus or any of the other prophets of any religion would have told their followers to behave. You know, love your neighbor, treat your neighbor as you treat yourself.
And the Religious Freedom Restoration Act is set to become law in Indiana on July 1st. Now, the Michigan Religious Freedom Restoration Act could come up later in this year's session. A similar bill was proposed in Michigan last year. It made it through the House, but it never reached the governor's desk.
Most certainly something that we'll be following for sure in the coming months.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kristen. Now, as you can imagine, this topic has people on both sides of this debate fired up. David Custer has made his way over to the social media desk and has more of what you're saying tonight. David.
That's right, Carrie. Hundreds of you have posted on our Facebook page the last couple of days, giving us your thoughts on the bill. And let's take a look at them right now. Well, Dennis says, what happened to freedom of choice? If you don't like it, don't patronize them. Simple as that. Quit whining about it. But plenty of people disagree. Anthony says that they have pretty much found a politically correct way to allow discrimination. I never understood. If religions preach what's good and right, well, how can they hate a person's personal decision that does not agree with their own beliefs? And David says it will all sort itself out, saying if the state of Indiana wants to cost businesses in their state precious revenue, then let them. Everyone will just shop out of state or online. And finally, Eric says this is a free country with private property rights, which includes private businesses. You people keep handing power over and you will be forever children to an even larger government. So as you can see, a lot of fire behind these arguments. And of course, we will continue to monitor the bill in Michigan as it makes its way through the Senate. Carrie, back to you.
David, thank you. We are learning more details about the murder of an elderly man in Shiawassee County. Police say Joshua James shot and killed his 81-year-old grandfather, Marlon James, on Friday afternoon. They say the 21-year-old had been living with his grandfather at a home on Dunn Road. Joshua was arrested without incident at a motel in Lansing. We caught up with a friend of Marlon's who is understandably shocked by this whole thing.
I talked to him every other day or something, you know. If I needed something, if he was gone to the store, he'd bring him back at Myers.
Police say they were able to recover the gun that was used in the shooting. A Flint man will spend the rest of his life in prison after strangling the sister of a local sheriff's deputy. Earlier this month, a jury found Lorenzo Relaford Jr. guilty of killing Janine Hank. Hank was the sister of a Genesee County sheriff's deputy. She was from the Grand Blanc area. Today, a judge sentenced Relaford to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Continuing coverage now of the closure of a handful of local elementary schools. Last week we told you about Flint Community Schools' decision to shut down 3 schools. Tonight parents will have a chance to voice their concerns and get answers or get their answers to their questions. TV5's Meg McLeod is live in Flint with more of where that forum is going on. Meg.
Hi, Carrie. We're at Durant-Turimont Elementary School, where that meeting just got underway a few minutes ago. Flint Community Schools is trying to fix its $21 million deficit, and a means of doing that will be closing Carpenter Road, Cummings, and Scott Elementary Schools, and then realigning Durant-Turimont, Potter, and Brownell Holmes Elementary Schools into K-8. That wouldn't happen until the 2016-2017 school year. However, if this is approved, those schools, Durant-Turimont, Potter, and Brownell Holmes, would become K-7 as soon as next fall. This would solve $7 million of that $21 million deficit. Interim Superintendent Larry Watkins says it's a hard change, but it's a necessary evil.
The state has given us 7 years to come out of the $21.9 million deficit. So there's other things that the district will have to do to meet that. I know it's very painful for staff. And, you know, staff, as our president of the United Teachers of Flint indicated, they have made a number of sacrifices over the course of the last few years to help the Flint Community Schools to keep our heads above the water.
Again, this meeting just got underway a few minutes ago. If you'd like to come out and voice your opinion, there is another one tomorrow as well as another on April 2nd. In Flint, Meg McLeod, WNEM-TV 5.
Meg, thank you. Now, once again, the 3 schools that will reconfigure, Durant, Potter, and Brownell, would become K-7 next year. They would then expand to kindergarten through 8th grade the following year.
State is headed to the Final Four.
And it's been a non-stop celebration ever since that final buzzer sounded last night in Syracuse. The whole state has been alive with Spartan fever, and East Lansing is the center of the celebration. That's where we find TV5's James Felton, who has more on the buzz. James.
Guys, as you might imagine, Michigan State Spartans around here in East Lansing are beaming with a lot of pride today.
Fight! fight. Come on, team, fight.
Charles Haynes loves singing the Michigan State Spartan fight song.
It's a great fight song.
Spartan fans at this baseball game have had a lot of reasons to smile lately. Their basketball team is in the Final Four, and Haynes is excited too, but don't ask him to turn down a baseball game for a trip to the Final Four.
Not really.
Let's go, State!
Meanwhile, Taylor Henkin and her friend Emma Niemeyer are on the rowing team. They say they're inspired by what their fellow athletes are doing on the basketball team.
I think they just lead by example. It's awesome. Like, we were all watching the game last night in my apartment.
They say they can take the lessons learned from the basketball Spartans and apply it to what they're doing in their sports.
And I like watching the seniors and just how they work together, and like, they don't want it to be their last game. And I kind of, look up to the varsity players in our rowing team at the same kind of way.
Of course, being a Spartan athlete doesn't mean you get tickets to the Final Four.
I tried to get tickets right away, but they were sold out in minutes. But
we still might head to Indy.
We might just drive down there just to go be in the area.
As for Haynes, he wants to see the men's basketball team win a national championship, but he says they've had a great run so far.
It's great. Very surprising.
Of course, a lot of college experts are calling the Michigan State Spartan basketball teams the Cinderella of the Final Four. But folks around here say they won't be surprised if they bring home their third national title. Reporting live and local from East Lansing, James Felton, WNEM-TV5.
All right, James, thank you. And once again, Michigan State will take on Duke this Saturday at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Tip-off is scheduled for 6:10, and the game will air on TBS.
Well, we are still following developing news out of Maryland tonight after an incident at the NSA headquarters.
Still ahead, why one man is dead and multiple others have been hurt.
And a local company honored for nearly a century of service. That story next.
You are watching WNEM-TV5 News at 6, serving Gladwin, Byron, Ithaca, and your hometown too.
It is coverage you can count on.